What's up, you guys, and welcome to the official podcast of Damian Talks Education. So listen up. I am here to talk about all things education on my podcast. So get prepared for some realness and honesty of education as I walk you down through various of topics that's happening in the education world with some amazing guests, to sharing stories relating to education and so much more, because I got you covered with education. So join me on this journey of education with me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Damian Talks Education. I hope all of you guys, my listeners, my DTE fam, had a great weekend. And let's kick off a new week, you guys. Let's kick off a new week now. Today is Monday, so this is quite, a little strange for all of you guys because new episode comes out on Friday. But today, you guys, I have a very special episode on today with a very special guest. So let's hop right into it, shall we, you guys? Now, this person right here is a former varsity head basketball coach and an educator who served inner city at risk high school age students who grapple with both attendance and academic problems. And this person is a published author of Making Your Enemy Your Footstool, an investor, a counselor, who helps his clients overcome their issues of procrastination and irrational fears so that they can be the highest version of their most authentic self. So everyone, please welcome on to my show, Virgil Johnson. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Let's bring him on now, you guys.
Hey, my brother, how you doing?
Hello. How are you doing?
Good.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming on to my show. I hope I said your name correctly at the start of this. Virgil Johnson.
Virgil, yes.
Virgil Johnson, yes. So thanks for being on my show on today. So let's get started here with first of you giving us, a little more background of who you are to my audience.
All right. My name is Virgil Johnson. I go by my Hebrew name, or Ibri. I'm an author. I've written Making Your Enemy Your Footstool, How to Use the American System as a Black Individual in America. Former educator, high school math teacher, former high school varsity head basketball coach. Did some activism work. I live in Atlanta, been here in Atlanta for going on 3 years now. I'm originally from Florida. So a lot of the things that I did was back home in Florida, but moving up here, I just basically wanted to, get into what my purpose is. So that's how I got into being an author. Working on a few other books as well. And I also have a consultant business. So I'm working on getting that off the ground, teaching individuals how to overcome self-sabotaging, procrastination, and irrational fears. So that's the gist of me. That's what I've been working on, and that's what I do right now currently.
Yes. So let's talk about your book, which is called Making Your Enemy Your Footstool, How to Use the American System to Benefit You as a Black Individual in America. So why don't you tell us first of you coming up with this title and for you of writing this book out, how they came all about?
Yeah, well, the title came about because the purpose of the book was basically like a kind of a starting helping guide to help individuals, African-American individuals specifically, kind of overcome the system that we're in. So that, I'm sorry. Wow. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
So the system that we're in, we know we live in a very oppressive system. Mm-hmm. So with us living in this oppressive system, a lot of us, we don't even know where to start at. We don't know how to get out of the system, where to start at when it comes to navigating through the system. The only thing we know are the things that we've been taught, and we know we've been taught a lot of detrimental things. We know we've been taught a lot of things to set us back. So the title, Making Your Enemy Your Footstool, was basically taking the system that has been given to us and using it to our advantage in order to become the head of where we're supposed to be at. As we know, no matter what it is that we do, we have the tendency of excelling at every single thing that we've been placed in. So I firmly believe that if we get the proper tools and we get the proper knowledge and guidance, then we will easily be able to overtake the oppressive system that we are in right now, and thus making our enemy our footstool. So basically, it was it's just like a like I said, a beginner's guide to our people, just figuring out how to navigate in the system that we're in now. How I started, writing the book, actually, I do presentations and lessons for my congregation. And so I was doing a presentation about overcoming fear. And I got to that point because I used to ask people, you have conversations with Black people about building together, coming together, group economics, things of that nature. And one of the consistent answers that I continue to get, no matter who I talk to, no matter what part of society they grew up in, no matter what economic status they was in, I always continue to hear the story of Black Wall Street. We can't do anything because what they did in Black Wall Street. They blew up Black Wall Street, burnt it to the ground, dropped bombs on it. And if we ever try to come together, they're going to do that again. And finally, it kind of hit me. I was like, no matter if I talk to an affluent African-American, poor African-American, middle class, light skin, dark skin, East Coast, West Coast, raised in the North, raised in the South, that was always their answer. I said, that's not by chance. That sounds like programming to me. So I went and I started researching the actual story of Black Wall Street, and I figured out the story that we have been taught is not the true story, is not the full story of Black Wall Street. And then I was like, okay, I want to teach people that. So I did it in that presentation. And then I was like, okay, I did in that presentation. My congregation heard it. People who watch my YouTube channel, they may have heard it, but I have to get this story out to more people. So then I wrote the story in a book, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't a book. This is just, a few pages. What else can I give the people that I feel like we need? And that's how I came about writing the book. I just went through and took the most pressing matters that I felt like individuals who were first starting off would need. And I just wrote chapters on those pressing matters.
Yes, good, right. So I want to ask you this here, and I can't wait to start reading your book. How do you feel this will be, what I'm trying to say here, how do you think this will be benefit for my audience who are future educators wanting to go into that field of education? How do you feel that your book will contribute to them in their own lives, in your opinion, your eye?
That's a wonderful question that you asked, and it's a perfect question because my target audience for my book were two types of individuals. It was the around 30-something years old individual who felt like, oh man, I've been trapped in the rat race. I want to get out of it. I kind of want to, figure out how to get above this system. Where do I start at? Because they don't know where to start. This book is for them. And then the second individual that this book is for 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old individuals or children who are about to go into adulthood, and they want to get a firm footing on adulthood without getting caught up in all the traps that we've been trapped in. So those were my two target audiences. So for individuals who want to be educators, this is a perfect book to give to your students or to read to your students, just to help them, like, okay, look, this is how you start. This is where you start at. Instead of going the way that society tells you to go, this is how you do it. I even have a chapter or a section in my Cultivating Our Children book that gives a 12-step process of the steps that children need to take, starting at about 16 to 18, so that way they're prepared to go into adulthood when they turn 18. So it starts with learning a trade, learning investments, learning a particular skill set, figuring out which path they want to go, whether it's college, military, into the workforce, whatever it is that they want to do. The main things that I start off with is making sure they know a trade, making sure they know investing, and making sure that they know they have a particular skill. So that way they're always able to generate income for themselves. They don't have to depend on someone else to generate income for them. If you have a trade and a skill and you know how to invest, you're still gonna have to go through that learning curve of life, but it'll be a lot easier for you. So this would be the perfect book for educators to give their students, just for that piece of knowledge on its own.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you on that. So I want to take a turn here on this here. And I talk about this a lot on my show. And with every guest that comes on, I try to talk with them as possible with them to hear their take on it. And especially right now, where we have all the, mass shootings going on and the recent killings of Black men. And to me, I just don't, at this point, I just like really just gave up because it keeps happening over and over and over again. And, we keep praying about it, you do this and that. And it's like nothing, it's not going to bring, that person back to life. So I want to hear from you, like, why do you think this keeps on happening? And how can we stop this from happening? Because I want it to stop happening, of course, with so many other people around the world.
I talk about this kind of similar subject in my book. This is how I personally look at the circumstance that we're in. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You're in a relationship with someone and they continue to beat on you. They continue to humiliate you. They continue to tear you down. They continue to call you out your name. And you're like, hey, can you please stop doing these things? And they're like, no, I'm not going to stop doing them. They continue to do it. And then they make you feel small, like no one else is going to want you. You're nothing. You're worthless. That's what we continue to get told. And those are all signs of an abusive relationship. So typically when it comes to an abusive relationship, when you're with an abuser, the only thing you can do is get out of the relationship. And I think a lot of our people have to realize just because we were born here and just because our fathers, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, great-grandfathers, great-grandmothers was born here, that doesn't mean we have to stay here. Like a majority of people wouldn't stay in an abusive relationship. They would leave. Mm-hmm. We have to treat this the same way. So if there isn't going to be any type of improvement on the circumstances of our living here, we have to look at other options. We have to look at other places to go. Now, if we're individuals who would like to stay here and you're like, no, ever since the 1400s, my people have been here. This all I know. This all my people know. I'm going to stay here. But then you got to make a decision. Like you can't, if you have somebody bullying you, you can't lay on the ground and ball up and be like, oh, bully, stop punching me. No, the bully's going to keep punching you until you do one of two things. You either fight back or you go to someone who has more power. So we can either go to the United Nations with our claims of our human rights being violated, not just civil rights, but human rights, or we can fight back. One of the two. But either one of those, you can't be afraid because fear gets you nowhere. So we got three options. Go to a higher power to protest our human rights, fight back, or move somewhere else.
Those are good. Those are good right there. Thanks for leaving that off with my viewers. So you have any final thoughts that you want to leave off with my audience with your book, and where can they purchase it at if they would like to get it? So yes.
Absolutely. So I have it here. Book is called Making Your Enemy Your Footstool. You can purchase it on Amazon. Just go look for it on Amazon. You'll be able to purchase it. Paperback copies on Amazon. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to read a small section out of my book in regards to child development. According to a study from Psychology Today, adults who received nurturing and lived in responsive care environments in their early years demonstrate greater resilience to stressful situations, have better immune functioning, less anxiety, and overall fewer physical health problems. When an infant's needs are not met, potential toxic stress is created. Toxic stress and traumatic attachments in early life influence brain development, specifically the right hemisphere, which can result in an inability to regulate emotional stress under stress, including regulating their fear-terror states, dysregulation of the fight or flight system, dysregulated flight system resulting in PTSD, and dysregulated fight systems potentially lead to aggression disorders, and dysregulation of the vagus nerve, which connects with major body systems and governs social capacities and personality disorders in early adulthood. In short, the individual is stunted or thwarted in reaching their full potential. Long-lasting effects include both personality and emotion regulation disorders. Deprivation of basic needs in the early years of life lead to an internal divisiveness where children become divided within themselves and divided against the world. It pushes the child off the trajectory for self-actualization. So I wanted to touch on that because we have to get back to the root. Also dealing with talking about the question that you asked me before. We have to get back to the root, which is our children. And that starts at an early age. Too often we try to make changes when our children are older, and by that time they're set in their ways. Honestly, the development of children starts in the womb, starts at conception. And we have to realize the environment that we have our pregnant women in, it attributes to the child being prepared or deficient in life. The types of food that the mother takes in, the things that the mother watches and listens to, the stress level of the mother directly impacts the fetus in the womb. So we have to get back to where we are. I know it's sometimes, things happen. You can't always plan your children. However, we have to get to a point to where we're better planning our children and then being better prepared for them. Not saying everything has to be perfect, but you at least need to have a positive environment for your child to be in, starting in the womb, so that way they can develop better as they continue to grow older. If they don't, you're gonna get what you have in society now. You have children who don't know how to control their anger. They're just running all over the place. They can't tell the difference between right and wrong. They're having crazy mood swings. They're violent. They have no remorse. They have no grasp on reality. And that's because we're starting them off on the wrong foot from conception. The moment that sperm cell hits that egg, we have to be gearing up to prepare this child for the world that we're in, or they're going to be lost and damaged. So that's the main thing I want to leave with your audience, like really pressing those, especially those that are educators, pressing to parents, pressing to children. Hey, when you have children, start them off right. Parents, if you have more children, start them off right. And if you have older children, get them in programs. Figure out who they are. Have them figure out who they are. Let them figure out who they are, so that way they don't spend the rest of their life wandering, trying to who am I? What am I? No, help your children figure out who they are so they can be greater adults when they reach adulthood.
Yes, I like that. I really do. Thanks so much for that. Yes. So, where can my audience follow you onto your social media platforms?
You can follow me on Instagram at _LWI_. You can also follow my YouTube page, which is the Living Word Initiative. And you can follow me on those two platforms. And if you have any questions, feel free to inbox me. You can contact me. My webpage is also vjohnson.org. So you can send me an email on there at vjohnson.org as well.
Yes, so thank you so much for pouring out your knowledge of your book. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, you take care of yourself.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, so I want to thank my guest for coming on, pouring out his knowledge of his book. So you guys make sure, if you want it, get yourself a copy of it and get to know it better. All right. So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode right here. And I'll see you guys back this Friday for a new episode of Damian Talks Education. So until then, you guys take care of yourself and be blessed.